When I heard Fu Xuan's title, Master Diviner, the first thing I thought was that Hoyo may have just copied a made-up word from RuneScape 3, because divination seems like such a fake word to me, I don't know why. But the second thing that I thought was, she's HP scaling, a sustainer, she's pink, and she's a support. Wait a second, is this just Space Kokomi? Space Kokomi is real, but she can't hurt you, because she's not a damage dealer. Today, I'm gonna be going over how to build and play Lady Fu Xuan, and don't worry, the only thing she can't reach on free-to-play accounts is the top shelf. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to let YouTube know the video doesn't suck by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We're only 95,881 subscribers from 300,000, and it would mean a lot if you hit the red button. With all that being said, my name is Braxophone, and let's talk about Fu Xuan. Master Diviner Fu Xuan has a lot going for her, and it's not her height. Her kit revolves around transferring all of her ally damage taken to her and reducing it by a fair bit. Wait a second. When you activate her skill, 65% of your team's damage taken goes directly to Fu Xuan for 3 turns. Her skill also increases your team's max HP and crit rate, which is a pretty crazy buff to only have to re-up once every 3 turns. Normally, skills only give 30 energy, but with one of Shorty's traces, she gets an extra 20 energy, which is also affected by energy regen stats. Her other trace gives your whole team resistance to crowd control debuffs once per use of her skill, which is honestly insane because it compensates for so many lost runs of MOC and Simulated Universe. Because of how Space Discharge's energy passive works and how her buff actually times itself, you want to use her skill once every 3 turns, or skill basic basic, skill basic basic repeat, to make sure that you don't drop it at all. The timer is on Fu. Using her technique will activate her skill immediately on entering battle. You're not going to get energy for it, but your whole team will have the mitigation effects from Pretty Pink, which can be solid for when bosses move first and want to dominate you. Her other massive team buff is her talent that gives damage reduction to literally everyone. And also because of her talent, when Space Kokomi drops below 50% HP, she'll restore a large portion of that HP. But there's a catch. No, not that one. That's from a different game. Do you see the little diamond markers next to the 4'9" girl's portrait? Those are her stacks. I'm not going to try to explain this the same way the game does because honestly it just does a terrible job in English. Basically, Fu Xuan's auto heal can only trigger if she has at least one of those stacks. When you start the battle, you have one by default, and every time you ult, you'll gain one, and you lose one every time she uses her talent to heal. Speaking of ultimate, I think the reason we didn't get story quests in 1.1 was because all their budget went into these animations. It does damage based on Fu Xuan's HP, and when you unlock her Meta Mystic trace, she gets a team heal also based on her max HP. It costs a huge 135 energy to use though. For talent priority, personally, I'd level her talent and skill first, and the rest is just damage after that. Something to know about Fu Xuan is since she takes damage for everyone on your team, if you're doing some content that has enemies dealing high AoE damage, like Swarm Japard for example, Fu can get laid flat quicker than Child did in 4.0. One person's trash is another person's treasure, and though Dia and Fu Xuan both have some of Hoyoverse's best character designs, Fu Xuan is actually good. She's able to sustain a team by herself with a proper build, and she makes a lot of the game fairly easy. So with that said, let's talk about how to build her next. Make sure to give Fu Xuan a good light cone. I know she wants to take like a lot of damage, but we must protect her at all costs.
I'm still young.
Okay, so when I say this character is easy to build, I'm not kidding. Lofo Yaimiko is one of the most free-to-play friendly characters yet in terms of gear. Of course, she already shut her eyes. Her signature light cone is going to be her best, and that's pretty normal. Honestly, I'd be more worried if it wasn't her best. It gives HP percent, energy regen, which is an amazing stat to have on her since her ult cost is so high, and a damage increase for all allies whenever the wearer's HP is reduced. This light cone feels sort of like a Harmony light cone for preservation units, so it's actually just pretty solid all around. But wait, before you spend any money on this game, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Texture of Memories. Texture of Memories is a free-to-play preservation light cone that shields the wearer based on their HP whenever they're attacked. You ever been fighting those big ape elites and accidentally skill on the wrong character? No problem. If HP security is something you're constantly worrying about, worry no more. Texture of Memories will shield your Fu Xuan and protect her from a ton of the damage coming her way. But wait, there's more. If you have a shield up when you're attacked, the damage you take is reduced by another 12%. With such high Fu Xuan HP to give you a huge shield, and with all the damage reduction Fu Xuan already has, Texture of Memories has some of the highest effective HP available for free-to-play players. Download today from her to shop to get started. Honkai Star Rail, please sponsor me. For other options, Moment of Victory is also also a top choice for her to be able to maximize her effective HP, which is just HP after things like defense, damage reduction, shields, and more are taken into account. Landau's choice is also pretty good here too, which is insane because not a lot of characters want that. It'll draw more aggro to Fu Xuan, who will basically be the only character healing on a consistent basis, and it takes a lot of pressure off your team. It also reduces damage taken, which is just amazing for her. Day 1 of my new life is also solid, and We Are Wildfire is also an okay alternative. Here's two charts showing HP potential with light cones versus their effective HP, which is what you care about more on Fu Xuan for sustainability. Honestly, as a free-to-play player, you can use most light cones on her, but like, why would you use anything other than texture memories on her? She's like the only character in the entire game that can make good use of it right now, so you might as well give it to her. So you're probably like, okay, now I have a light cone for Fu Xuan, but can I make her taller? And to that I say, here's the relic section. Welcome to the build section of the easiest character to build in Honkai Star Rail. I'm not kidding, it's kinda brain dead. Because Fu Xuan eats damage for teammates, scales on HP, and wants access to her ultimate, there's specific sets we want to give the Master Diviner. The first set is two-piece Guard of Weather. The first set is two-piece Guard of Weathering Snow. It reduces her damage taken, and I know you have about 1,000 of them from when you spent the first 2 months of the game farming the Quantum set. The 4-piece is useless though on her since... Why am I laughing? The 4-piece is useless on her though, since whenever she drops below 50% HP, if she's got a stack, she'll instantly gain HP back, and the 4-piece won't actually proc. For the other 2-piece sets, you can use 2-piece Longevous Disciple and 2-piece Messenger Traversing Hackerspace. By the way, have you guys noticed that the boots for Messenger look like they have craft singles melted down on them? Like that really fake cheese? I don't know, I can't unsee it now. Oh, and technically 2-piece Knight of Purity Palace is also fine if you just want something more efficient to farm, like if you still haven't finished getting your Kafka or Jingyuan pieces, you can use 2 pieces of that too. For planar sets, you basically have 2 options. I'd recommend Broken Keel or Fleet of the Ageless. Broken Keel will give you some effect resistance and give your whole team crit damage, and Fleet of the Ageless will give you some HP and give your whole team attack. Some folks will argue that the effect res of Broken Keel is kind of useless on Fu Xuan, but honestly, it's a pretty nice safety net to have, and she can get the team crit damage bonus super easily since she has effect res traces. And this set also doesn't require speed. If you do have over 120 speed though, Fleet of the Ageless can also be solid since you'll get 12% HP for free and a team-wide attack buff. I do want to note that Sprightly is sort of useless on Fu Xuan. The 5% energy regen isn't enough to make a difference in her ult in almost any scenario, and the 40% advance at the start of the fight is basically useless just because her technique outside of battle will activate her skill at the start of the fight. So I know in some supports you do want to run that, but on Fu Xuan, she doesn't really care. For stats, it kind of depends on if you have her signature light cone. Generally speaking though, you want 2 HP main stats and 1 defense main stat. Yep, that's right, you actually want a defense piece. Because defense affects how much damage she takes, having just 1 defense relic effectively lets you tank more damage than a 3rd HP relic. Yes, your damage will be a bit lower, but your team's heal is only like 50 HP lower in total, and trust me, after testing everything and mathing it out, it is 100% the most optimal option. For the 4th piece, you can choose energy regen or speed, but if you do have her signature light cone, I would argue to go with speed over energy regen, since Fu Xuan's signature already gives her ER. Speed will get you more skill points, energy regen will get you ult faster. It's kind of up to you on what you want to do. For example, I'm using her signature right now as of recording this voiceover, and I'm using a defense body, speed boots, HP orb, and HP rope. But you could also run HP body, HP boots, defense orb, and energy regen rope. It doesn't really matter what order, just 2 HP main stats and 1 defense main stat. I would just choose the pieces with the best substats, which are going to be HP percent, defense, speed, and effect res. You also can opt for 2 HP, speed boots, and energy regen rope, and that's totally fine too, but you might find it a bit harder to stay alive in content like Swarm since they hit way harder and could potentially one-shot you. So here's a build summary. She is super easy and flexible to build, and hopefully you can find even just some scraps to give her because she's pretty and she deserves it. By the way, running 3 HP instead of 2 HP and 1 defense is actually fine. Defense is just a little bit better most of the time, but nobody's gonna like break into your house if you decide to do that, so... What's up guys, welcome to the team section for Fuda. Let's talk about some teams. Okay, so as you can see in the first team, we have a Quantum team plus Bronya. I wish I could replace Bronya with a Quantum buffer, but this is where we're at. We're so close to mono Quantum, and like, I fucking guess if you want to play Lynx, you can. You know, for like Swarm Disaster, like level 5, this could be okay just because sustainability is pretty tough on that. But Fu Xuan has been able to basically carry me through like all of the Swarm Disaster stuff without the help of Lynx. So, you know, I just played Bronya here and it's pretty strong. Obviously, Silverwolf and Fu Xuan are going to be a good combo because these two in Tangent basically mean you can play any DPS and any support matching that DPS's element, and now you have 2 Quantum and 2 of that element, and it's pretty strong. Zila Fu Xuan is also going to be good if you're playing anything into Quantum weakness. The team's going to be pretty solid, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, next up is going to be my Daniel team, and this is literally just an example team. Basically, Fu Xuan is pretty flexible, and you can play her in like most teams. This team doesn't really have like a theme to it. If you want to, you can speed tune Yukong, so you have the 2 Quantum and the 2 Imaginary, and this is like a really solid way to play as well. But again, you're really flexing that Silverwolf, and you are able to basically just play any other characters. Remember, she's giving you max HP and crit rate, so like any characters that are able to deal a little bit of damage can actually benefit a lot from Fu Xuan, especially that crit rate. So like if you don't want to play Tingyun, you could even play someone like Asta, and Asta would also be fine. Fu Xuan is basically increasing your entire team's damage with that crit rate buff, and even if you don't have a crit build on your characters, them hitting more crits is going to be more damage. It's also worth noting that the crit buff from Fu Xuan can actually activate Rudolent in Arena. So if you're playing Rudolent on Dunhung, you can actually go ahead and get like the 70% crit rate. If you're only at like 60% and you have Fu Xuan talent level 8, you can actually get that 70 crit rate from her skill being active. So it's pretty strong. I think I said talent in there. I definitely meant skill. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, finally I get to play Edward Elric, my favorite protagonist from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And you're also probably thinking, wow, holy shit, finally a team without Silverwolf. That's crazy. Yes, you can indeed play Fu Xuan without Silverwolf, and it's actually pretty decent. If you're against the Ice Weak enemies, you can use Yenching and Pela together, and that's just such a deadly combo. Pela with the defense shred and Yenching with the damage. He does do damage. Tingyun's gonna be there to buff Yenching as she is for like most carry characters, and also feed him energy. And yeah, this team is just generally pretty good. With that said though, Silverwolf is better here. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is actually Fu Xuan with Blade and other HP scaling characters in the future. Now, Fu Xuan does increase max HP. I've seen a lot of debates in the community over whether or not Fu Xuan's a good pairing with Blade, because Blade wants to take damage so that his ultimate can deal more damage, because it does damage based on how much HP he's lost between ultimates. But the thing to keep in mind is that Blade is actually going to be damaging himself fairly consistently. You may lose a little bit of ult damage in comparison, but the damage you're going to be dishing out from the increase in max HP and the extra crit rate will definitely compensate for the multiplier that you're missing out on his ultimate. I don't actually have math to back that up, but just trust me, it's actually good. Blade is already a super powerful sustaining unit, and you don't actually need Fu Xuan for him. But by playing Blade and getting the extra crit rate and max HP, he is going to be able to have just slightly higher stats. And having 2 HP scaling characters on one team is great. Also, if there's other characters that scale on HP in the future, Fu Xuan will also probably be good with them. And if you are really worried about Blade not getting hit as much because you have a preservation character, put Blade next to Fu Xuan. It doesn't really matter the order, but if Fu Xuan gets cleaved because she's preservation or she has Landau's thing, or I mean, honestly, Blade and Fu Xuan should be both getting hit. It shouldn't make a massive difference. He won't lose as much HP between ultimates, but the stat increase is going to be nice and at least make up for some of that difference. I don't want to lie to you. Like I said, I didn't actually math that out. That's just, it could be complete bullshit, but like I'm pretty sure that's the case. And then you'll never guess who the 4th slot in this team is. As I said earlier, Fu Xuan is a super flexible unit, and you can really put her in most teams and she's going to be fine. Oh, one last thing I did want to talk about is if you are having trouble solo sustaining with Fu Xuan in any harder content, Fire Blazer can also be really, really good, because you're going to get light enough shields to mitigate some damage, and Fu Xuan's going to be able to mitigate a lot of that damage done to your other teammates, which is going to mean that the shields are going to be more valuable here. You'll whittle down your teammates' HP like even slower. So, all right, so now I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't spend money on this game. First things first, no Eidolons activated. All my rent is being saved up for Jinglu, so I can't really afford to spend. She's here! But here's what Fu Xuan does. This walking platform advertisement can already give you 10 crit rate to your whole team, but with E1 she also gives 30 crit damage, which I'm gonna be honest, that's pretty stupid, like in a good way. E2 is a long lost cousin of the Autobots. Basically just think of this as Bailu's instant revive, except it's actually way more broken. With this Eidolon you don't actually get knocked down at all, and you instantly get 70% of your HP, and it can actually affect multiple characters in the same instance. So if you have multiple characters knocked down at the same time, all of them will survive. It only works once per battle though. And note that your skill has to be up for this, but we're just assuming that's always up. E3 levels up her skill and talent, which is going to be the best part of her kit, and E4 gives Fu Xuan extra energy generation from allies getting attacked. As far as I know, this only applies to one ally at a time, but I could be wrong. I don't know, I can't test it because I'm broke. E5 is going to be an ultimate and basic level up, which is kind of bad by comparison to E3, and E6 basically turns Fu Xuan's ultimate into a 25 kill streak on Call of Duty. When her skill gets activated, Fu Xuan gets a huge buff to her ultimate based on ally HP lost during battle. Between her light cone and Eidolons, in my opinion, her light cone is a really great pickup for its support capabilities and its usability on other preservation units because of the damage bonus it gives to your team. But because you can also S5 texture of memories for absolutely free, E1 is probably going to be the better option overall, since a 30 crit damage buff to your whole team adds up a lot. But as I keep saying in the video, don't spend money on this game. It's too easy. Yes, even Swarm level 5. Pepto-Bismol as a quantum character has been absolutely game-changing, and she's just another key for the eventual mono quantum team. But with that said, she's not a character that you have to pull for. There have been a lot of really great supports in this game, and Fu Xuan is absolutely amazing and honestly really fucking hard to kill. Like, this character is actually damn near unkillable soloing things. But with that said, a lot of the harder content in the game is essentially a time trial, and Fu Xuan is absolutely not a bad character, but if you plan on pulling for Fu Xuan because she can solo stuff, keep in mind that soloing something is not going to be the fastest way to clear it. So, you know, I just wanted to leave that out there. If you're just looking for another quantum to eventually run mono quantum in, Lynx is honestly a pretty good pickup, and you don't necessarily need Fu Xuan, but Fu Xuan is an absolutely astounding character. She's very powerful, and she will change your account. Let me know what the best generation of Pokemon is, and yeah, I'll see you guys in like 6 hours or something.